Welcome into our round 13 teams analysis video. I believe we've gone through a majority of the questions, so if you haven't seen an answer to your question, please jump in and check out the allotment of videos that we've got through the week. They've each got a specific task to answer the questions that you need, and some strategy ones, some runs around guys you'd like to bring in, which origin players you should be trading, should be holding. So get into those videos, guys, and then we're going to get into a lot of your own team strategy in this video. And then there's one. It's cool. We've got their team, but then also their buy planning as well. So it's going to be really cool to have a look at there heading into round 13. So, plenty of information on this one here. Last week's carnage, got on my buy prep and rank. Made a last minute trade of Host to Burbo because of Bird's injury, and that became a waste too. Yeah, especially when you're probably wanting Hosts coming in this week. So we're not sitting in a great position here, considering Miller, we can count him as like a non-player. Buller, Cleary, Leoro there, Madison got injured, and Grant. So there's 6 guys in the starter team that aren't playing, and then you've just got Ikatoa and Johnson to come back, but also have Brown, so you can't even play Isaiah Katoa. So there's a lot gone wrong here. Sitting with 12 trades before the week and 511k in the bank. So that's a lot of bank, which is obviously ideal, and has some potential trades coming up here. In Cheese, up to Cook. I think that's a cracking trade. Lock that in. Obviously, disappointing that he was injured, but yeah, Maddo injury to Hopgood, locked in. Liero or Boyd to Olakau'atu. I don't really like Olakau'atu, to be honest with you. Just, looks like he's playing with a little bit of an injury. He's coming off a couple of 30s. He could definitely come out and kill it, so I won't push you away from it, but I definitely understand why you'd be looking at that. Miller to Garrick, and I think having, maybe avoiding that Liero or Boyd, I think both of those guys are going to be helpful for you going forward. I'd probably just do the Miller to Garrick trade there, and it obviously doesn't net you a ridiculously large amount of players. It sits you about 11 mark, and then Ikatoa you could use him as a looper or something like that if you like there. That's probably the play, and avoiding the Liero to Boyd one there. And the reason I'm looking at this, guys, is obviously he has Manu who he's holding. And you're going to want Liero or Bird as a quality player. They both play next week where Olakau'atu doesn't. So if we're looking at this squad, if he does bring Garrick in, he's bringing in Hopgood as well, who's going to miss 14. He then has Brown, who misses 14 there. And then from there, potential for Grant to play limited minutes. Does Cleary back up? And has Ben Trebojevic, who's going to be out. So you're already sitting at sort of that 16 or 17. And in that 17 next week is Oluwapu. It is Lukey. There's a few of these guys that aren't super great options, but if you do hold the Liero or Boyd one, that's another extra player that's going to score you to 40, anywhere from a 40 to 55 there, where Olakau'atu would mean you would be playing like that 15 or 16, and you would have to trade heavy again next week, considering you would have 8 trades remaining, and then you have to trade a couple again next week, and you just run out of trades way too quick. So 3 this week is the max, I think, for you, considering you'll end up at a 9, and you still have some bank left over for next week with those guys that you are trading out. So that's the play with that team there. All right, next one. Hey, Jamie, cheers for all the videos. Thank you very much. Looking for some advice on my team. Currently ranked 6K and want to short my team to go for a push. I feel as though with the current trades I've got a pretty strong team for the rest of the season, with only weakness being my mid position, but can trade Ikatoa to offer in around 15. What are your current thoughts around the team? So current trades are Haas to Hopgood. Even just that in itself may look like a hold, but we'll see. Maddo to Cook. Cheese to Brown, Miller to Garrick. Okay, let's have a look at this again. So round 14 is something you need to think about, guys, especially with it doesn't say how many potential trades that there are left in the bank there, but you make that trade now, and you've got Hopgood that's going to be out next week. You've got Ikatoa. Do you want to be playing him longer term? Probably won't have to, but likely is going to be used next week. You've got Garrick out in 14. And that's it. So that's not too bad. So round 14, guys, that is fine. But trading out Haas, are you happy to? Do you have enough trades to be able to get him back later? That's something to question. Obviously, Dylan Brown obviously is out in 14 as well. But the other 3 trades are great. So do you need the 4 trades this week to be able to obviously getting that 12? Do you use 3 and actually no, that has 11. So. Okay, probably have to go with it because you want to be playing. I think you want to be playing at least 11 this week, so that'll work out fine. I love that Tavita Totola has got the vice on him. How good. I'd definitely be having the vice on Cook rather than Totola, but I'm assuming that was on Payne Haas and that's how it worked. I don't know. That's how I'd be playing it. The number 2 option, Haas, Maddo, Cheese, Miller to Garrett, Cook, Tohu, and Hopgood. I definitely think Tohu is one of the better ones. Haas, Maddo, Cheese, Miller. Haas, Maddo, Cheese, Miller. What's the difference here? Oh, no Cook. Moses. Ponga. It all works. Yeah, I think both of them actually work fine. However you want it there. Obviously, then you wouldn't play a hooker, and then you're banking on Grant coming back. I think that's fine. Cook's obviously undervalued at the moment. I think either one of those is going to be cool, and the team's set up completely fine with the guys coming back next week. Grant, Hines, Cleary, Manu, Billy Smith, and Buller. That's exciting for next week. Oh, and then Preston and Tedesco as well. So, plenty of good things. Obviously, something to think about, guys, just making sure that you don't overload for round 13 and then you struggle in 14. Personally, you obviously don't have a hell of a lot of trades, but round 14 for me is a week that I think should be able to do pretty well, considering if everyone backs up, I've got Hines and Cleary as my origin guys, and Teddy. If they all back up, then round 14 is going to be an absolute killer for me, I would say. Should be able to do solidly this week in 13, but 14 will probably be the one where I do make some good ranking points. So this one here, we got 1,591, the overall ranks are sitting solid. 17 trades remaining, which is great. Congrats on how your team is going this year. Thank you very much. Is it worth selling Miller when he's playing this week? Do I wait till next week to trade him out? If you wait till next week to trade him out, he should likely be under 500k. So if you're happy to wait until that, then that's cool. But I don't think he comes on and plays a lot of minutes. If he happens to come on for an injury, then that's luck rather than good practice there. So is it worth going for Hopgood and Tohu because starting with Host and Lukey doesn't excite me? Yeah, there's the mix between not exciting you and just bringing in guys that then aren't going to be a scorer on your side. So if you got Host or Lukey just sitting on the interchange bench and you've used an extra trade for it, it's kind of a little bit of a waste this week, rather than just copying whatever score they get. Host or Lukey being able to get, really they both should get above what they scored last week. So you take that score and then dominate next week, rather than pushing too hard this week when they could come out and get a 40 and they're sitting on your interchange and you're like, oh great, that was a waste. Or Lukey comes out and dominates, or whatever. Like it could all happen for sure. So that's something you should think about, and maybe use a lot of those trades next week and then into 16 as well. What do you think is the combo of trade outs? Carrigan, Cheese, Miller, Carrigan, Cheese, Teddy, Carrigan, Cheese, Leo. Well, Carrigan, Cheese, Miller every day of the week. Best trade-ins, Hopgood or Tohu. I think Hopgood's really important, but obviously you do have to look at round 14, which you seem to be fine for, especially if you trade Miller out. You've just got Moses there. You're not sitting there with Garrick and the like. You will obviously, looks like you get Garrick in there. But I think Hopgood is going to be pretty important. Tohu you could get this week, to be honest, if you'd like, because you've obviously got the two edges already. So, Tohu this week and then Hopgood in round 15, if you like, works out well. Drinkwater, Garrick, or C&K. If you're picking one of those three, I think for you, it goes Drinkwater, then Garrick, then C&K. And then JMK or Cook. I think Cook is the play, considering he is cheaper than JMK and is averaging more. So it's just, the way that the 5-round rolling rolling average works. Cook's been scoring pretty poor of late. JMK's been better. So that's how it changes like that. And that's where the Tanner Boyd big change happens as well, because Tanner had been scoring so well. He's peaked, the last few weeks there, but he got all the way up to 700, scoring mid 50s, high 50s average, where Cook's been averaging lower than that, and that's why he's dropped down. So yeah, that's where this squad's at. But obviously 17 trades is great. I'd use 3 this week would be cool. Carrigan, Cheese, and Miller works great, and then you can make a few more next week. Beautiful. Let's go to our 4th team. I think we have about 7 or 8 there. Hey Jamie, love the content. I am planning to field 12 plays this week. Beautiful. So am I. I have 130 in the bank. My trade thoughts currently: Miller to Drinky, Leo to Hopgood, Walsh to Garrick. I have 15 trades left. After that or before? Either way, it's fine. Is it worth using 4 trades this week to field 13 or get a better hooker than Granville? I think just cop Granville's score this week, to be honest with you. With where you're at, let's just have a look though. You obviously got Trent you were looking at potentially selling. Benchaboyevich is an annoying one. Teddy, Walsh. Yeah, I think in that sense, probably Walsh is just the trade. But you got Walsh and Teddy. It's an interesting one. Obviously, Teddy with the lower break even. Walsh, how will he back up? There's a few question marks there for sure. I think the trades that you suggested are completely fine. if you're done with Liero, that's cool. Boyd, if you're happy to have him as a hold, great. Just think about your round 16 edges as well. Are you thinking, you're obviously thinking about Hopgood, so you can go Hopgood and Lukey in 16. But then you also have to look at your mids for round 16 as well, and do you have enough players for that? So if you were to keep Liero, then you would have another edge for 16. Just keep that in mind. You've obviously got Preston for 16, so maybe you don't need Trent as the edge of the years. And obviously Horsburgh, Haas, and DeBellin for next week in 14's cool. You could have Hopgood in the edge and Preston, which sounds great. So I think you're on the right track with those trades, mate. And yeah, if you're happy with Walsh to Garrick rather than Teddy to Garrick, then that works great as well. And the 15 trades available is cool. If you wanted to go Granville to someone, cool. I think you could also just go Granville to like Jake Turpin next week. So get Granville's score. Hopefully he plays all right, gets some decent minutes, has a decent PPM, which he hasn't had the last week or so. And then you get Grant back next week. And then maybe a Turpin is the guy for you at that cheap price. So let's move on to team number 5. So ranked 1,402, 16 trades after making 4 this week. That's great. Well done. 165 in the bank. Thoughts on the trades would leave me with 17 trades and 29k. Thinking of trading Boyd as well to Drinky, or is Boyd a hold for round 15? Lots of questions there, obviously. You can trade in Boyd as well to Drinky, or is Boyd a hold? I think Boyd could definitely be a hold, but if you do want that extra wing fullback, considering you only have Chance Nickel-Klookstar there, then that's definitely going to be the play. That would get you 12 guys playing this week. I like your captaincy of Hopgood, DeBellin and Vice. Either one of them is going to be good, and that's the way I'll be going. Hopgood or DeBellin this week. Round 14 trade thoughts, so he's thinking ahead, which is good. Trent, Preston, Katoa to Isaiah Papali'i, Cookie, 592k or less players that play 16. If you're holding Preston this week, he is 100% a hold going forward. I think he can gain you about 50k at least, and plays round 16. You could trade him in 17. I think Isaiah Papali'i is a hold off. I think Preston and him could score similarly in round 14, so I'd avoid that. Trent as well. He can, if you try holding him now, he then plays 16. So I don't think they're the guys you want to be trading. Some of the guys heading into a round 16 bye are going to be the ones you'd be looking at trading. I think guys like Katoa, like you said, is going to be a good option there. Seeing there, would have 8 playing round 16 either option. So yeah, it's why I think Trent and definitely Preston, and then Trent Liero secondary as a definite hold there, with Katoa having the buy, so he's a good trade out. Whereas obviously Papali'i is good for 16 as well, but yeah, you're trading around 16 playing player that's doing well, averaging 50, for a guy that's averaging just above that. So it seems a little bit sideways. I think you can do better with those decisions, and eventually maybe getting Lukey to one of those guys. Obviously he's a round 16 player, but not a keeper, whereas like someone like Preston is pretty close to it, a keeper there on the edge as a 50-point scorer. There's definitely other guys that you could look to trade out, and probably a little bit later than round 14. So just think of that, guys. Just try not to do marginal trades. Obviously you do have a lot of trades left, but that would mean you're pushing pretty hard to get to a good round 16 team as well. So think of that there in that one. Obviously Hudson Young being a non-player for you hurts. So Young to Hopgood, Miller to Klookstar, Brandon Smith to Torquil Harris, and Tanner Boyd at the bottom there, which you can't see, to Drinkwater. So I think they're fine trades, Ben, and then just work it out. Yeah, things will happen next week for sure. And I think doing Drinky this week is better than going Garrick now and then Drinky next week, because you have Garrick not playing. So I understand you probably have him making a little bit of cash this week, which is what it is, but that's how it goes in that one. Cool. That team's in a good position. All right, rank 16 at 27 for the FC Supremers. Good stuff. Have 20 trades and 9 currently playing in round 13. God, I'm so jealous of these trade numbers. Well done for doing so well and having so many trades. I had to push really hard in round 2, 3, 4, 5. That's for sure. Okay, including Miller, who I want to trade. All right, so 8 playing if you're trading out Miller. Cool. Potential trades: Miller, Walsh, and Burbo for Drinky, CNK, and Totola, or Miller, Walsh, and Boyd for Harris, CNK, and Moses. That sounds great. Okay. The second one sounds great, but you're trading out Boyd. If you're fine with that, that's cool. Having just Grant as your hooker. Bringing in Moses, so you have Johnson, Cleary, Moses. You'd be removing your half cover there and getting Moses. So that sounds great. I really like that third one. You could even make a fourth if you like it and get to, if that's 8 up to 11. I think that you could get up to 12 if you wanted to. and someone to trade out for that would also be Burbo then, but it might mean you can't get, Moses. So have a look at that and see what that, does for you. If you were to look to make that fourth trade, I think for you, holding Payne Haas is a good idea. And then from there, it's Tedesco. If you want to trade out him, then you could definitely do that and go to anyone you want in whatever position you need. But I think, playing with 11 would be fine. Obviously, I think for you, trading pretty hard in 14 as well, and then 16 to get some really good sides is going to help you stay in that top 600 or so and improve greatly from there. I'm thinking Walsh is a sell with having 5 Origin players at the moment. Yeah, I think that's the thing with you. That's why you don't have enough players this week, just holding that many Origin guys. So I think you definitely need to sell, probably 2 of them, in my opinion, just to get things right for not only this week, but for round 14. If all of them don't back up, that could be a little bit of a tough one next week, and then heading into round 16 and going forward from there. They're the questions you need to try and sort out yourself, is to make sure that you have the correct amount and enough amount of players in each of the weeks. Otherwise, you will fall behind, and it's not exactly what you want in that one. So 11 playing will be okay, but not super ideal. Yeah, this is an interesting one here. I'm fine, everything's fine. Had an absolute shocker, it looks like. SOS Jamie, look, I know I'm in a shabby spot. It's my first year of fantasy. Welcome. And I traded way too hard early on. I have an unconventional path to get me through a very tough period with minimal trades. Okay, cool. I love that there's a bit of a plan. Keen to know what you think / what you do in this situation. Top 2,500. 8 trades left, 443k in the bank. Okay, that is helpful. All right, we have Brendan Hands as the starter this week. That's a tough beginning. Round 13, hold, play 11. Okay, that's helpful. Already has Joe O on the side. So did that just work out nicely? Sounds like it. That he had him already, and then he's come over to the Eels and is now a playing player. That works out well. Let's look at the interchange. So Nelson, I think a good rest for him is going to be great. Pengai, yeah, wow. Okay, a lot of good players on that bench, which is cool. All right, so having 11 playing, and what is the 11 that he's got? Garrick, Drinkwater, Bird, Penasini, Katoa, Brown, Lem, DeBellin, Captain, Horsburgh, Fengawi, Hands. So solid. There's way too much cash in the bank though, so I think it might be smarter to make one trade this week. And man, I really want to do a big upgrade here. I think, you got Ben Turbo, don't you? I think going Ben Turbo straight to someone could be hectic. 443 gives you 660 odd. That could be great. Who else you got there? You could go Brendan Hands straight up to Cook. Could you? No, he'd be just short. Or, yeah, he'd be just short. That sucks. That definitely sucks. Okay, so Ben Trebojevic straight up if you want. Could work. Or you wait till next week like you're doing there around 14. I just think, the amount of trades, it might just be worth copping it this week with the 11. That's fine, man. I know you your first year playing, so you're just doing what you can and learning along the way. And obviously you would have been watching a little bit, it seems like, and we'd be saying to try and hold a couple of trades here and there, just to not trade each and every week, the max. So that's fine, man. I think it might be just best for you this week just to hold with the 8 left. I'm trading this week and then sitting with 11, and I still think that's low. So I think probably just holding this week. Going with it. No, I'm screwed. Made a mistake blowing my trades. Main question is this the best way to go about the buy period in my situation? Example, hold Hines and Cleary. With the trades that you have to, I think, because you want them at the end of the year. And if you were to trade them out now, it's going to be very difficult to get them back. Really looking forward to playing fantasy next year with a lot more understanding of it all. Yeah, awesome, man. I'm so glad that you are playing it and absolutely loving it, it sounds like, considering you are putting a lot of effort in to make some certain trades. So good stuff, and I'm glad you are here. Hold trades this week. You've done well. All right, this is a team where we've got the 2 different little planners. Actually, we got one more before that. Awesome. Yeah, it smells like a meat pie. There you go. Has made 4 trades this week. Crazy. Trying to climb ranks. Grant, Brandon Smith. We've got Lockie Miller and Host. Cook, Hopgood. He's got Ponga and Tohu. Grant, Brandon Smith, Lockie Miller and Host. Cook, Hopgood. Yep, awesome. That sounds good. Obviously, you're trading out guys that do play this week. Oh my god, you have way too many. Okay, reverse. How it works this week, mate, is that you can only play 13 players. So you're sitting there with too many. So in knowing that, I'm going to make you hold Grant this week. I'm happy for you to trade Host. You need to hold Harry Grant. So however that works is how it works. I'm happy with you bringing in Cook because you need a hooker, but definitely hold Harry Grant. Maybe you trade Tanner Boyd instead, potentially, if you need to, need someone to trade. Maybe it's Brandon Smith and Miller. I just think there's too many guys you're bringing in here, considering you have 15 players playing. Only 13 of these guys can be on the park, so it would be an absolute waste to use 4 trades this week. And I think you should use 2 or 3. So however that works for you, whichever guys that works out trading, I think you need to leave Grant out of that. If you want to do Smith and Miller and leave Host as well and have him as a looper, then that's fine. Or just have him in your start and don't have Hopgood this week, and then for next week, you don't have another guy out. You're sitting there with Garrick that's going to be out, Penasini, Hopgood, who else? And then Couchman and those guys you don't really want to play, and then you're banking on guys backing up like Cleary, Hines, and the like. So I think that Ponga's going to be out as well if you do that. So you'll struggle next week when you're overloaded this week, and then you're going to struggle next week. So that would be my plan here, is to avoid that. So good stuff. All right. Next one. This is the one we're talking about. So they've got their squad here. Payne the Haas 98 into their buy planning. So let's just have a look at this as a starter, which is pretty cool. Round 13, they've got, he's got the dual positions there, mid/edge, and this is what they are. Along the side there, Robson, Horsburgh, DeBellin, Hopgood, Host, Lukey, Ikatoa, Moses, Lem, Bird, Johnston, Garrick, and Ponga. So full 13 in that one. Has 16 in the round 14 team, and then needs 1 in any position, which is awesome. Round 16, sitting there with pretty solid position right now, 6, 7, 8, 9, and just needing 4 players from there. So in a good position there, this squad is. So now that we've done that, let's have a look at the squad. So trades this week: To'o to Garrick, Holmes to Ponga, Liero to Hopgood, Miller to Johnson. That leaves him with 15 trades after that, which is hectic. So I love that you're sitting there with a full squad. Yeah. That's awesome. Jeez, for help this year, being my first year of proper fantasy and definitely having some ups and downs. Hey, you're doing well, man. And you got here plenty of trades left and plenty of salary in the bank now. So in a great position. Looking to move on Katoa and Smith next week. Still sitting with Brandon. Okay. Well, why don't you, instead of trading out like Liero, why don't you trade out Smith? Liero's a player next week, man. Round 14 is going to be tough. You've got Ponga and Garrick in your wing fullbacks, so you're probably going to want like To'o to play next week, for example. So, or something like that. That's something you got to look at next week. So you've got, who are you holding then? Manu holding and Bulla. Okay, they could slot in. All right, that's fine. But I think you should hold Trent in that case, and trade out Smith instead. Just lock in that, and that's the only real difference. Tossing between JDB and Moses as C. Moses has the 100 ceiling, and DeBellin has the 50 floor. So that's that. Just make that change there, and you'll be sweet. I believe we got 2 to go, which is fun. Trade options for this squad. We're coming 11,000. Plan for this bias to ensure up my mids with keepers and field close to 13 players. Currently have 11 with Miller being benched. Yeah, okay, not ideal. Trade options: McInnes to Tohu. Locked in, done. Teddy to Drinky. Miller to Ponga or Garrick. I think Ponga can do well this week against a weakened Manly pack. Yeah, that will give you 13. Lock it in. Stakatoa, Nicarima playing fullback. Probably Cody, Justin. You can loop Johnson, but that's all you can loop, I think, potentially. Who plays earlier? Not sure. With Toa replacing Hopgood in the mids when I trade him in. Should Hopgood replace Lukey or Host? Let's see how this week goes, but probably Host. Like, Lukey has the upside. I potentially will trade on Lukey in 15 if he annoys me again. I don't know how I'm going to watch the Cowboys game this week. There's going to be way too many missed tackles for my liking. But yeah, that's where I'm at with this squad. And then our last one, we've got here. Actually, we already spoke about this one. Awesome. That is the video, guys. I hope that's really helped you guys out with some strategy and thinking about round 13, but also 14 as well. And then looking ahead to 16 as well. Make sure you get all of that right and do a little bit of planning over the next, do your 13, 14, and 16 planning at a minimum. And then if you want to go further than that, that's great also. But do that and you will be able to succeed this week and obviously into the buy period. Good luck, everyone, and we'll see you in the trades video a bit later.